You're done. Pack your things. And don't embarrass yourself by asking why. Those words were spoken in a boardroom, in front of 12 people, to a woman who was 7 months pregnant. The man who said them believed he was untouchable. He was wrong. The night Marcus Vane fired Nia Cole was the night he made the worst mistake of his life. He had spent 42 years believing that power was something you inherited, something you displayed, something you used against people who could not fight back. He was wrong about all of it. To understand exactly how wrong, we need to go back 6 months. Back to the morning Marcus Vane still believed a quiet woman was the same thing as a powerless one. But first, welcome to the Golden Witness and Stories. Drop a comment. Tell us where in the world you are watching from. If you love stories about women who outlast the men who underestimate them, subscribe. You will not want to miss what happens next. 6 months earlier, there was a man who had already been watching. A man nobody knew existed, and a woman who had no idea he was there. This is their story, and it ends with everything he built gone. Nia Cole was 31 years old, 7 months pregnant, and the best scholarship coordinator Harrington Academy had ever had. She was not loud about it. She arrived every morning at 6:48. She left every evening after 6. Nobody asked her to. Nobody noticed when she did. She simply showed up every single day because there were children who needed someone to. In 3 years, she had placed 23 students from low-income families into top universities. 23 students. 100% retention rate. 0 budget overruns. 3 years in a row. Nobody put it in the newsletter. Nobody said her name at the donor gala. Nobody announced it at all. She did not ask them to. She simply kept working. The scholarship program she ran had one donor. Silent. Consistent. She had never met him. She only knew his initials, EC. The wire transfers arrived on the 1st of every month. Same amount. Same sender. Every single month for 3 years. Never late. Never explained. She was grateful. She asked no questions. She simply put every dollar exactly where it needed to go. She did not talk about where she grew up. She did not mention her family. When people asked, she smiled and changed the subject. Nobody knew much about her life outside the school. She kept it that way on purpose. She had left something behind a long time ago. Something she had asked to be kept separate from everything she was building here. She had asked and someone had honored that. Until now. Nobody knew that the quiet teacher in room 214 was the foster sister of Edmund Cole. And Edmund Cole did not work in schools. Edmund did not attend charity galas. He did not appear in donor photographs. He moved through the city like a current beneath still water, invisible until the moment he decided to act. He was one of the most powerful men in a world most people pretended did not exist. He had kept that world entirely away from Nia for years, not because he was ashamed of her, but because she had asked him to. "Let me be normal," she had told him once when they were teenagers. "Let me just be a person." He had honored that. Always. But peace, as it turns out, has enemies. Marcus Vane was the kind of man who walked into a room expecting it to rearrange itself around him. He was the CEO of Vane Capital Group, for $0.2 billion in managed assets. Majority shareholder in 3 university endowment funds. The single largest donor to Harrington Academy, a fact he mentioned in conversation the way other men mention the weather. He believed this made him the room. It was 8:14 p.m. at the Academy's annual donor gala. Nia was near the scholarship display wall. Her name on a placard she had not put there herself. He did not read the placard. He read her belly. Who approved a pregnant woman running donor relations tonight? This is embarrassing. His assistant Derek said nothing. Board trustee Patricia Elms looked at her shoes. A young teacher named Rachel Kim stood nearby with a glass frozen halfway to her mouth. Nobody moved. Nobody said a word. Nia heard every single word. She turned. She looked at him directly, and she said nothing. Her silence was not weakness. It was not fear. It was the quiet of someone who already knows something the other person has not figured out yet. Marcus believed her silence was submission. He was wrong. 3 days later Marcus called a quarterly board review. Nia was summoned, not invited, to present the scholarship fund's annual numbers. She prepared the night before. She checked every figure twice. She arrived early. The numbers were exceptional. They always were. She had placed 23 students in 3 years. 100% retention. 0 overruns. 3 consecutive years of the same result. She walked into that boardroom with those numbers in her hands. She did not know that Marcus Vane had already decided the meeting was not about the numbers. She presented calmly. Marcus interrupted 4 times. Each time she paused. She waited. And she continued. Patient. Precise. Unshakable. The 5th time he interrupted, he did not bother with words. Do you know who I am? I fund this program. I fund this school. I fund the salaries of every single person in this room. So when I say your department does not justify its existence, that is not a discussion. That is a conclusion. Trustee Gerald Okafor shifted in his seat. Board Secretary Helen Marsh stared at her notepad. Vice Principal David Rowe looked at the ceiling like it owed him something. Not one person said a word. Nia stood at the head of that table. 7 months pregnant. 3 years of exceptional work in her hands. 12 people watching. And not one of them moved. She looked at every single face around that table. One by one. She remembered each one. Marcus Vane believed that was the moment he had won. He straightened his jacket. He sat back down. He looked around the table at 12 people who had just watched him humiliate a pregnant woman and done nothing. He smiled. He was wrong. Warren Pike arrived in the hallway 2 minutes later. He was 59 years old, silver-haired, and known for staying calm whenever wealthy donors were unhappy. He looked at the situation. He looked at Marcus. He looked at Nia. And he made his decision in under 3 seconds. He chose wrong. Warren Pike shook Marcus Vane's hand in the hallway while Nia stood 10 feet away. He did not check on her. He did not ask what happened. He did not look at the red mark on her shoulder where she had hit the lockers. He simply turned to her and his voice went flat. I am going to have to let you go. Effective immediately. Please surrender your classroom keys and clear your desk. The shock hit somewhere behind her ribs. Not at the words. She had half expected the words the moment Warren Pike walked into the hallway and did not check on her first. It was the witnesses that stayed with her. The students. The teachers. The security guard. All the people who had watched. Who were now staring at the floor. Rachel Kim stood near the copier with tears in her eyes. She looked like she wanted to say something. She didn't. 2 security guards walked her to her classroom. Not roughly, but firmly. Like someone had told them to make it look official. She handed over her keys. And then she packed 6 years of a life into one cardboard box. She walked down the long main hallway, past classrooms she had taught in for 6 years, past the teacher's lounge where she had eaten rushed lunches between grading, past the library where she had helped scholarship students write essays for schools they never thought they could afford, past the donor wall. Marcus Vane's name fixed in polished brass. The front doors opened. Cold rain hit her face. She stood on the wet steps with the cardboard box pressed against her hip. Her phone buzzed. An email from a law firm. Marcus Vane was suing her. Emotional distress. Professional interference. Full civil complaint. Her accounts were frozen before she reached the parking lot. When she got home, an eviction notice was taped to her door. She sat in the dark apartment, both hands on her stomach, breathing slowly until the shaking stopped. She had built this life over 6 years, student by student, class by class, one ordinary day at a time, gone in a single afternoon. She sat with that for a long time. Then she stood up, walked to the bedroom closet, moved a stack of old lesson plans aside, and pulled out a small fireproof case hidden behind them. Inside one phone, and a charging cable. She charged that phone once a year, just in case had arrived. She dialed the only number saved on it. It rang once. Edmund Cole answered. He already knew. He had been waiting 22 hours. When her voice came through, quiet, frayed at the edges, he closed his eyes. I need help, she said. That was all. You don't have to say anything else, he said. Go to sleep. I will handle it. His name was Edmund Cole, 64 years old, quiet, methodical, and the silent 34% minority shareholder of Vane Capital Group, a stake built through a third-party trust over 9 years. Invisible to Marcus because Marcus had never thought to look. Edmund Cole was also Nia's foster brother. Estranged since she was 12, he had spent 15 years watching her from a distance, funding her scholarship program anonymously. Too proud, too guilty, too afraid of what she might say if he announced himself. The 4 words Nia sent were, "It happened. Call me." Edmund had been waiting for that message for 18 months. He set the phone down on the glass table, looked out at the city, and made 4 calls. By 6 in the morning, his attorney had filed a formal board grievance. Improper termination of a protected employee. A visibly pregnant woman. Derek resigned before he was asked to. Patricia Elms became acting board chair. The civil motions Marcus filed in the following quarter. Both dismissed before the first hearing. He did not recover his seat. He did not recover his reputation. He did not, as anyone who knew him could confirm, recover his certainty that a quiet woman was the same thing as a powerless one. Edmund had sent 10 years of fraud records to 3 federal agencies before the sun came up. Tax evasion, wire fraud, embezzlement, all documented, all delivered anonymously. The federal complaint was filed by 9 a.m. Marcus Vane sat in a federal holding facility. The money was gone. The lawyers were gone. The board members and club friends and men who had laughed with him over expensive wine, all gone. He had spent 45 years building a life where the word no was something other people heard. Not him. He had learned what happened when he was wrong about that. 6 months later, room 214 was warm and full of light. Nia sat near the window with her daughter against her chest. Dark hair, full cheeks, lungs strong enough that Nia still laughed when she remembered how loudly she had announced herself the day she arrived. She was perfect. On the desk beside her, the signed endowment paperwork. 47 students enrolled for the coming year. The scholarship wall rebuilt. Renamed. Full. Edmund had bought Harrington Academy 8 months earlier. Quietly. Through 3 education trusts and 2 shell companies. The board did not know who owned the school until the paperwork was finalized. Then they knew. Warren Pike was still employed in the building. Not as principal. The custodial team had been short-staffed. She did not call after him. She did not need to. She looked back at her daughter. And she thought about what kind of world a quiet woman could build, if no one burned it down while she was building it. Edmund stood near the window. He had not been invited. He had not been turned away either. He looked at his niece for a long time, with an expression Nia had never seen on his face before. Open. Unguarded. Human. He looked up. "You doing good?" She laughed. Small. Real. Tired. "Yeah. I'm good." He nodded once. Like that settled something he had been carrying for 15 years. Marcus Vane had once believed that a quiet woman was the same thing as a powerless one. He was wrong. And every dollar he ever earned proved it. Some people mistake silence for surrender. They forget, silence sometimes belongs to the people who simply have not chosen to act. Yet,